Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam. I have the pleasure to invite the representative of International Disability Alliance, Mr. Jose Vieira, the Executive Director. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished CRPD committee members, on behalf of the International Disability Alliance, the global platform that represents the estimated 1.3 billion persons with disabilities and their representative organizations, it is a pleasure for me to address you all in my capacity as Executive Director. First, we want to congratulate the new members of the CRPD committee, Ms. Wala, Mr. Lorenzo, Mr. Numoro, Ms. Gabrieli, Ms. Plasencia Perrero, and Mr. Tamon. Indeed, we clearly see an improvement in gender balance and diversity of language and regional representation, and that speaks to how committed this committee is to diversity and inclusion. Second, we want to congratulate once again to the CRPD committee and its secretariat for the work done not only in preparation of this 32nd CRPD committee, but the work that in general you all do to advance and monitor the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities. However, my speech cannot go on without flagging what we understand as one of the biggest concerns if it gets confirmed in this session. And that is the lack of, or potential lack of, national sign language interpretation. If that happens in this session, we are going to break 14 years of tradition and long-standing commitment of securing full participation of all committee members and organization of persons with disabilities. If that happens, of course, will not only constitute an unacceptable practice, but also a reaffirmation that in times where disability rights and inclusion should be promoted, oppositely, we are reducing our efforts and investments in securing full participation of persons with disabilities. We publicly regret that our formal letter with the International Disability Alliance, the World Federation of the Deaf, and the World Association of Sign Language Interpreters to the High Commissioner and to the Director of the UN office in Geneva have not been replied. The letter clearly asked for securing engagement of persons with disabilities, especially with regards to sign language interpretation. We hope that this session will secure the commitment of this committee and the OACHR to continue promoting sign language interpretation. One more thing that we believe is important always to remember is that the International Disability Alliance, as representative of persons with disabilities and representative organizations, try to bring as many organizations of persons with disabilities to Geneva to each session. We are proud once again to secure in-person participation of many OPDs for this session, and our work goes beyond this committee. And for instance, this year, we sponsored OPD's representatives from Peru, Colombia, and Belarus to come to other human rights treaty bodies like CRC, CEDAW, and others. It's our commitment to secure that the dialogues between the CRPD committee and Organization of Persons with Disabilities is truly representative and includes all voices of the disability movement. Moving on to substantive issues, we welcome the opportunity of participating in the day of general discussion for Article 19, and we even welcome more the commitment of this committee to keep producing what we understand is key to advance the CRPD implementation, and that is general comments. we understand that the general comment on Article 29 will provide clarity on how to advance the inclusion of persons with disabilities in political and public life. Finally, we also welcome the work done so far by this committee with regards to general comment on Article 11. It's absolutely necessary and imperative that we continue working to secure that persons with disabilities are not discriminated and are not left behind in any form of conflict. I cannot conclude my intervention without acknowledging the unacceptable situation that persons with disabilities are in multiple conflicts, such as the one happening in the occupied Palestine territory, and we really want to particularly express our deep solidarity to persons with disabilities that are absolutely left behind and discriminated in this conflict, as in many others. Finally, we wish all the best for this committee, but please be always reminded that the advancement and the monitoring of the CRPD is possible if we continue promoting dialogue between this committee and organizations of persons with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are not doing very well with time. So we now have the invitation for World Federation of the Deaf to take the floor with a pre-recorded video.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Joseph Murray, President of the World Federation for the Deaf. I want to thank the UN CRPD Committee for the opportunity to speak today. The WFD numbers National Association of Deaf People from 137 countries in its membership. Our vision is a world where deaf people everywhere can sign anywhere. Over 70 million deaf users, more than 200 distinct national sign languages. Without access to sign language, deaf people are denied basic human rights. When sign language interpreters are not provided in social and political spaces, deaf individuals are excluded. This is why I stand before you today to remind you that UNRCPD contains strong provisions recognising human rights are contingent on our access to sign languages. This access is essential for us to receive information, express our opinions and make decisions on an equal basis with others. The WFD is proud to congratulate Mr. Hiroshi Tamon on his election to the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. He received 157 votes, a resounding endorsement from over 80% of UN member states. We recognise Mr. Tamon's distinguished expertise and are confident that he will significantly contribute to the Committee's work in monitoring the rights of persons with disabilities, particularly those in the deaf community. The World Federation of the Deaf strongly condemns the current situation in which the 32nd session of the CRPD Committee is meeting while Mr. Tamon does not have full access to the proceedings. Mr. Tamon has faced numerous challenges in ensuring his full and effective participation. This includes the necessity for full access via sign language interpretation in the sign languages of his choice during official sessions and all informal interactions with fellow committee members and civil society. Providing this support is crucial to guarantee that he has equal opportunities alongside other CRPD committee members. The WFD has been working with Mr. Tamon and the Japanese Federation of the Deaf for the United Nations office in Geneva to understand their responsibility to provide equitable access to deaf people who use sign languages. Currently, Mr. Tamon does not have CRPD compliant access. By continuing its 30-second session, while a member does not have equitable access to the proceedings, the committee is complicit in the United Nations office in Geneva's prevention of Mr. Tamon's ability to fulfill his mandate. We would like to emphasize the following points. 1. The importance of ensuring equal treatment and non-discrimination among committee members, as well as equal access to communication and information during their mandate. 2. The importance of continuing to advance the United Nations Disability Inclusion Strategy, which is based on the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. 3. the critical need to strengthen the participation and engagement of deaf individuals in their interactions with international mechanisms. Currently, deaf people are still being left behind. To achieve full and equal participation, UN agencies must always provide interpretation in sign languages. We remind that in line with the United Nations Disability Inclusion Strategy and Article 9 and 21 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, United Nations entities must ensure the accessibility of their events and meetings for deaf individuals so that they can participate on an equal footing with other participants. Deaf people have the right to access information about their human rights and to communicate in national sign languages while interacting with the United Nations representatives. Ensuring their full and effective participation will enhance deaf people's human rights advancements and decision-making processes regarding matters that affect their lives. We strongly urge the United Nations entities to ensure that Mr. Hiroshi Tamon can participate as a CRPD committee member in all events and meetings in a national sign language of his choice. Additionally, any event or meeting intended for a broad, regional and international audience should provide international sign interpretation to ensure accessibility for deaf participants from different countries. Furthermore, when a deaf participant requests interpretation in their national sign language, this request should be seriously considered by UN entities. Deaf individuals cannot participate fully in their country's review process without the provision of national sign language interpreters for the sessions. It is essential that the organising committee consults closely with and actively involves representatives from the national deaf organisations addressing the accessibility request in accordance with Article 4.3 of the UN CRPD. Deaf individuals must be the primary authorities regarding their accessibility needs, including language preference, such as choosing between international sign or their national sign language, and their preference regarding sign language interpreters and/or service providers. By accommodating these needs, the organising committee will ensure equal participation by deaf representatives on the same level as other participants. Denying reasonable accommodations for deaf individuals or conflating their needs with those of other persons with disabilities, like personal assistance, marginalises them and constitutes discrimination. The World Federation for the Deaf calls upon the committee to take immediate action to support Mr. Tamon's access needs. To ignore this problem or to individualise this problem into Mr. Tamon's responsibility is to be complicit in this grave contravention of the CRPD itself. We stand ready to assist the CRPD committee with further recommendations and guidance on how to fully realise the rights of deaf communities to participate on an equal basis with others during CRPD committee sessions and any events and meetings organised under the auspice of the United Nations. We look forward to an immediate and CRPD compliant resolution to these matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I invite the representative of Peace, Inclusion Peace.